Welcome to Breaking News to Trading Moves.
Hey, glad to be here.
So imagine walking into a store and paying $10.9 billion for a product that is not completely finished.
Right, a product that, might never actually work.
Exactly. It could ultimately be entirely worthless. But today, we are analyzing why pharmaceutical giant AbbVie just did exactly that.
It is quite the price tag.
It really is. We have gathered market analyses, biotech clinical data, and M&A reports to figure out our mission for today. We are deciphering exactly how one $10.9 billion buyout impacts specific stocks and broader market sectors.
Yeah, the headline is pretty clear. AbbVie is acquiring Apogee Therapeutics in a $10.9 billion deal.
And the core of this acquisition, really, is gaining access to Apogee's lead inflammatory disease drug candidate. It is called zumilokibart.
Right, zumilokibart. And it is currently being studied for conditions that include atopic dermatitis and asthma.
Now, to help you, the listener, picture what is happening here, think of big pharma companies like championship sports franchises. Ooh, that is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, they know their star veteran players, those older blockbuster drugs, are nearing retirement. And in the pharmaceutical world, retirement means hitting a patent cliff.
Right, and the moment a drug patent expires, cheaper generic versions legally flood the market.
Exactly. And the original creator's revenue just falls right off a cliff. So to maintain their winning record, these companies pay an absolute premium to secure the next generation of top-tier rookies.
They buy the future.
They buy the future. And immunology remains a strict priority for that future growth. But wait, $10.9 billion is quite a premium for a drug still in testing.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
It sounds like gambling to me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, if you were an investor, how do you know AbbVie did not just overpay because they are panicking about their expiring patents?
Well, it really comes down to the mechanics of chronic care and the sheer volume of recurring revenue.
Okay, recurring revenue. Yeah. You have to look at how these companies model probability and patient demographics. Because atopic dermatitis, which most people know as severe eczema and asthma, well, they are not conditions you cure with a short course of pills.
Right, like a bacterial infection or something.
Exactly. They are chronic, lifelong inflammatory conditions. The underlying mechanism involves an overactive immune system that is constantly attacking the body's own tissues.
So you are looking at a patient population that needs ongoing medical management for, what, decades?
Decades, yes. For a pharmaceutical company, a successful drug in this space provides a highly predictable, long-term revenue stream.
That makes sense.
The market for treating inflammatory diseases is one of the most lucrative areas in all of healthcare. The volume of patients globally is massive, and the duration of therapy is continuous.
And AbbVie, they know exactly how to model this, right?
Oh, absolutely. They built an absolute empire on their immunology drug Humira.
Right, I have seen the commercials for that.
Yeah, it was one of the best-selling drugs in the history of medicine before it hit its own patent cliff. Yeah. So when they look at a new asset like zumilokibart, they are not just guessing.
They have the math to back it up.
Exactly. They are utilizing internal actuarial tables, modeling out peak sales across multiple massive patient populations over a 10 to 15-year horizon. That is how they calculate the exact premium they can afford to pay today.
Right. They're mapping out exactly how many patients will need this therapy year after year. It essentially turns a medical treatment into a long-term subscription model.
That is a perfect way to phrase it, yeah.
And that brings us to our first group of winners from this news, the direct deal beneficiaries. These are the two companies directly involved in the transaction.
Right.
First, you have AbbVie, ticker ABBV. They are the strategic winner here.
For sure.
Because this pipeline expansion gives them a possible growth driver beyond their current heavy hitters like Skyrizi and Rinvoq. It directly addresses that patent cliff anxiety we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it secures their product lineup.
And then you have Apogee Therapeutics, ticker APGE. They are the direct stock winner. Because the $10.9 billion takeover price directly validates the value of their inflammatory disease pipeline.
And investors traditionally reward this kind of pipeline expansion, especially when the acquired asset fits perfectly into the buyer's existing strengths.
But let me push back on that phrase for a second. Validating a pipeline.
Okay.
What exactly does that mean in practical terms? I mean, what are investors seeing in the math of this takeover price that makes APGE an undeniable winner in the eyes of the market?
Well, think about it like this. When a company like AbbVie puts $10.9 billion on the table, It functions as a comprehensive external audit of Apogee's underlying science.
An audit, okay.
Yeah, because biotech valuation is notoriously difficult. You are basically assigning a dollar value to clinical trials that might fail.
Right, because most drugs don't make it.
Exactly. The vast majority of experimental drugs never make it to pharmacy shelves. So investors have to discount the potential future revenue by the probability of clinical failure.
Ah, I see.
But when a major player steps in with a premium cash offer, that probability math changes instantly.
Because AbbVie already did the homework.
Yes. The math tells the market that AbbVie's internal team of scientists, regulatory experts, and commercial strategists, they have all scrutinized Apogee's raw clinical data.
And they decided it was worth the risk.
Right. They decided the scientific risk is low enough and the commercial upside is high enough to warrant a massive check. It proves to the broader market that Apogee's specific biological approach to targeting inflammation actually works.
So that is the validation right there.
Exactly. For a small biotech, it proves their platform can produce a tangible asset that a global giant actually wants to own.
So it essentially removes all the guesswork for the retail and institutional investors. The experts at AbbVie did the incredibly expensive homework, checked the trial data, and literally bought the results.
That is exactly what happened.
Well, that makes perfect sense for the companies directly involved, but, the market never stops with the headline names. Once a hefty premium is paid, traders immediately look for the secondary winners. Since the market now sees a confirmed premium for immunology assets, attention naturally turns to takeover watch names.
And large pharma companies with the capacity to buy them.
Right. Let us look at the immunology and autoimmune biotech names first. Traders focus on companies like Humira Therapeutics, ticker KYMR.
Because of their immunology exposure, yeah.
Exactly. And they look at Immunovant, ticker IMVT, given their focus on autoimmune disease.
Right.
And they also watch Roivant Sciences, ticker ROIV. They have a proven history of building and monetizing biotech assets.
Yeah, traders are always hunting for the next possible target after a large pharma acquisition.
But wait, surely traders are not just throwing darts at a board of random immunology companies, right?
Oh, no. Definitely not.
I mean, there has to be a specific methodical approach to identifying these takeover watch names.
Oh, it is highly methodical. Traders are absolutely not throwing darts. They are running rigorous screens based on very specific criteria that, mirror the Apogee deal.
Okay, so what are they screening for?
Well, first, they look at the mechanism of action. Does the biotech target inflammation in a novel biological way?
Right, like something that avoids the toxic side effects of older drugs.
Exactly. Second, they look at the stage of clinical trials. Big pharma usually wants to see robust phase 2 data.
Just phase 2, why not phase 1?
Well, phase 1 trials just prove a drug does not severely harm healthy volunteers. It is just a safety check.
Oh, okay.
Phase 2 is the major hurdle where a drug proves it actually works in sick humans, reducing their symptoms better than a placebo.
Got it. And what is the third thing they screen for?
Third, traders evaluate the cash runway. Because developing a drug is incredibly expensive. Small biotechs frequently hit what the industry calls the valley of death.
The Valley of Death, that sounds intense.
It is. It is a period where they have great phase 2 data, but they lack the hundreds of millions of dollars required to fund global phase 3 trials.
Ah, so they are stuck.
Right. And if a biotech is facing that cash crunch, they become a prime acquisition target.
Because they have the science, but not the money.
Exactly. Companies like Humira and Immunovant fit into these methodical screens because they are advancing therapies in areas where big pharma is actively looking to replenish pipelines. They match that exact profile.
So they are looking for the exact same rookie profile we discussed earlier. Someone who proved their talent in the minor leagues, the phase 2 trials, but needs a major league budget to go all the way.
That is a great analogy, yeah.
And on the flip side of that equation, you have the large pharma companies with the actual acquisition capacity, the major league budgets, to make these deals happen.
Right, the buyers.
We are talking about Merck, ticker MRK, Gilead Sciences, ticker GILD, and Amgen, ticker AMGN.
Oh yeah, these companies possess incredibly strong balance sheets.
They really do. And they operate in sectors where pipeline depth dictates future survival. They benefit from a broader deal-making theme, especially when the market anticipates more buying activity in oncology, immunology, and rare diseases.
For Merck, Gilead, and Amgen, those massive balance sheets basically act as a strategic weapon.
How so?
Well, when one major player, like AbbVie, executes a multi-billion-dollar acquisition, it serves as a prompt for the rest of the industry. These large pharma companies are acutely aware of their own upcoming patent cliffs.
So it lights a fire under them?
Exactly. They have entire corporate development teams dedicated to scanning the biotech landscape, just looking for assets to buy.
Right.
The benefit to their stock in a moment like this is driven entirely by market anticipation. Investors want to see capital deployed efficiently to secure future earnings.
So if the market believes, say, Merck or Amgen is about to acquire a de-risked, late-stage immunology asset, their future revenue projections improve.
Exactly. It signals to investors that management is actively securing revenue for the next decade, rather than passively watching their current drug patents expire and their revenues collapse.
It really is a high-stakes game of musical chairs. And no big pharma company wants to be left without a pipeline when the music stops.
No, they definitely do not.
But, where there are winners securing their future, there are naturally losers who suddenly find a target painted on their backs.
Oh, for sure.
Because AbbVie just bought a $10.9 billion weapon, but a weapon requires a target. And in this case, that target is the market share currently owned by direct competitors.
Yep.
The acquisition of a promising new drug candidate immediately threatens the companies currently dominating that exact same medical space. The names in the crosshairs today are Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, ticker REGN,
Right.
Sanofi, ticker SNY, and Eli Lilly, ticker LLY. Regeneron and Sanofi are connected to Dupixent, which is one of the most successful drugs currently prescribed for atopic dermatitis and asthma.
It is a massive drug for them.
Yeah, and Eli Lilly also has heavily prescribed immunology treatments aimed squarely at inflammatory skin conditions. They face intense pressure today because Apogee's lead candidate, zumilokibart, is being developed to treat these exact same disease areas.
It is a direct threat.
Now, market share in these areas is determined by three things, right? Efficacy, dosing convenience, and patient adherence.
Exactly.
Can you break down that battleground of dosing convenience and patient adherence? Like, why is a new drug's method of administration sometimes just as crucial to capturing market share as its actual medical efficacy?
Okay, so this is a crucial reality of the pharmaceutical business that often surprises people outside the industry.
Okay, I'm listening.
You can develop a drug that clears up skin inflammation perfectly in a highly controlled clinical trial. But in the real world, patients are human.
Right, they forget things.
Exactly. Medical efficacy is entirely dependent on whether the patient actually takes the medicine consistently.
Sure.
If an existing treatment requires a painful injection every single week or, a 2-hour intravenous infusion at a specialized clinic every month, patient adherence drops rapidly.
Wow, yeah, I can see that. People get busy.
Yeah, people forget their doses, they avoid the physical pain of the injection, or they simply cannot afford to miss work for ongoing clinic visits.
That makes a lot of sense.
So if a new competitor enters the market, say, a drug that only requires a simple auto-injection at home once every 2 months, or better yet, a daily pill patients and their prescribing doctors will migrate to the new option rapidly.
Just because it is easier.
Exactly. The clinical efficacy, the actual chemical ability to reduce inflammation, might be completely identical between the two drugs, but the convenience dictates the commercial victory.
I always think about it like a workout routine. The absolute best exercise program in the world is totally useless if it is so complicated and exhausting that you quit after 3 days.
That is a great comparison, yeah.
The moderately good routine that you actually stick to every single morning is the one that produces tangible results. Medicine seems to follow the exact same human logic.
It does. That is the exact psychology driving the market. Pharmaceutical companies fiercely model that human behavior.
Oh, I bet they do.
When AbbVie looks at competing with a dominant drug like Dupixent, they are not just trying to beat Regeneron and Sanofi on purely biological terms. They are trying to beat them on lifestyle terms.
Lifestyle terms, wow.
Yeah, they ask their development teams, can we make a drug that fits into a patient's life with less friction?
Right.
If zumilokibart ultimately offers a less burdensome dosing schedule for someone dealing with chronic asthma or eczema, it directly threatens the market share held by current treatments.
So that is why Regeneron, Sanofi, and Eli Lilly face immediate market pressure. A highly funded, incredibly experienced competitor just bought a weapon designed specifically to take their customers away by offering a more convenient lifestyle.
Yep, that is exactly it.
Which perfectly explains why those direct competitors feel the heat the moment this headline drops, but the pressure extends further.
It does, yeah.
We also have to look at the secondary losers in this scenario. peers under pressure, and weaker biotech names. Because an aggressive cash acquisition shines an incredibly unflattering light on pharmaceutical companies that appear stagnant.
For sure. Specifically, we look at Pfizer, ticker PFE, and Bristol-Myers Squibb, ticker BMY.
Right, two massive names.
Both of these companies face mounting investor questions regarding their pipeline execution, their future growth, and how they plan to replace revenue from their own expiring patents.
Yeah, they are under a microscope.
When a rival like AbbVie makes a proactive, aggressive purchase for future growth, the immediate comparison pressures Pfizer and Bristol-Myers Squibb. Investors look at them and ask which companies are acting aggressively to secure the future, and which companies are waiting entirely too long.
It is the severe cost of inaction. In large-cap pharma, standing still is functionally moving backward.
Right.
Investors look at AbbVie and see a management team taking decisive, expensive action to bridge their upcoming revenue gaps. Then they look at Pfizer or Bristol-Myers Squibb, and if they do not see equivalent, decisive pipeline replenishment, well, investment capital flows away from them.
It is just a perceived lack of urgency then. Yep. Exactly. Pharmaceutical investors have very little patience for management teams that wait until a blockbuster drug goes off patent to start shopping for replacements.
You cannot wait until the last minute.
No, you have to buy the replacement years in advance to get it through complex regulatory approval and, manage a global commercial launch. AbbVie's move acts as a glaring spotlight on any management team that appears to be dragging their feet.
The spotlight definitely burns the company standing still, and it also burns the lower quality biotech firms.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you are holding a broad biotech ETF right now, you might think a big acquisition is great news for your portfolio.
You would think so, yeah.
But you actually need to look under the hood of what you own. We are looking at the SPDR S&P Biotech ETF, ticker XBI, and the Direction Daily S&P Biotech Bull 3X shares, ticker LABU.
Right.
The rationale here is that even though general biotech sentiment might improve because of M&A activity, the financial benefits are not spread equally.
Not at all.
Companies with weak trial data, extremely high cash burn rates, highly experimental early-stage assets, or unclear commercial potential will still struggle. The AbbVie deal raises interest in the sector, but it also heavily raises the quality bar.
It really does.
There's a real irony here. Usually the old saying is that a rising tide lifts all boats in an ETF. So why would a multi-billion-dollar biotech acquisition leave these specific broad biotech ETFs completely vulnerable?
Well, it comes down to the exact mechanics of how those specific ETFs are constructed.
Okay. Yeah.
Take the XBI, for example. It is an equal-weighted ETF.
Right.
That means it holds small, highly speculative early-stage biotech companies in the exact same proportion as larger, more established, profitable companies.
Oh, wow. So they're treated equally.
Exactly. It puts the same investment weight on a tiny company with 3 months of cash remaining as it does on a massive, stable corporation.
I see the problem there.
Yeah, when a premium acquisition happens, the market realizes that big pharma is being extremely selective. They're only paying up for high-quality, de-risked assets with proven Phase 2 data.
They are absolutely not buying companies with high cash burn and weak Phase 1 safety data.
No, they're not touching them. So while the specific high-quality takeover targets might see their stock prices soar,
Right.
the dozens of low-quality companies held inside that equal-weighted ETF get punished.
Because the market realizes no massive pharmaceutical company is coming to save the weaker businesses.
Exactly. The rising tide only lifts the seaworthy boats. The ones taking on water with high cash burn and poor clinical data, well, they're left to sink.
Wow.
Therefore, an ETF loaded with speculative names can actually trend downward or underperform because the market aggressively separates the premium targets from the deadweight.
That is a harsh reality for retail investors who just buy the ETF thinking all of biotech will magically go up on acquisition news.
It is a common mistake, yeah.
You are essentially buying a massive basket that includes the exact companies Big Pharma has already reviewed, audited, and firmly decided to pass on.
That is exactly what you are doing. Big pharma corporate development teams have looked at the data for almost every single asset inside those ETFs.
They have seen it all.
Yeah. When they choose to spend $10.9 billion on Apogee, it is a loud statement about Apogee's superior quality. But it is also an implicit statement about the assets they chose not to buy.
Right.
Institutional traders recognize that dynamic immediately, and they adjust their valuations of the broader sector accordingly. The financial premium goes to the confirmed quality, and a heavy discount gets applied to the rest of the speculative market.
Okay, let us bring all of this together for a final trading takeaway.
Sounds good.
The core message today is that immunology remains a strict priority for Big Pharma. AbbVie is securing its future growth. Apogee is being heavily rewarded for building a validated pipeline. And traders have a fresh M&A signal to navigate. The primary watch list moving forward includes immunology, autoimmune disease, inflammatory disease, biotech M&A candidates, and the large pharma names facing intense patent cliff pressure.
The mechanics of the market are fully on display with this transaction. Watch the companies holding massive piles of cash, watch the medical conditions that require lifelong chronic care, and pay close attention to the clinical trial data that offers better, easier convenience for the patient.
Because that is where the capital is flowing right now.
Exactly. That is where the money goes.
It really is a fascinating ecosystem to observe, and it leaves you with a final thought to mull over regarding the business of medicine.
Oh, what is that?
Well, when Big Pharma increasingly relies on buying innovation with massive checks rather than building it slowly in-house, consider how that dynamic completely alters what small biotech startups choose to research in the first place.
That is a very valid point.
Right. Are these brilliant scientists and founders setting out to develop permanent cures, or are they carefully engineering lifelong disease management treatments that just serve as the perfect resume for a multi-billion-dollar buyout? This is not financial advice or buy or sell recommendations. This is purely the opinion of the author.